guys, this video is about the work experience component of your certificate in mat work and reformer training with us. We're really excited to have you on board, and in particular the work experience is such a unique part of the training because it's where you get to really practice the job of being a Pilates instructor without being a Pilates instructor yet. So it's a nice learning environment for you to take advantage of during your course. To get started, I'd love for you to grab your induction pack and find your work experience guide. So the document has work experience guide written at the top. And this video is just going to be summarising some of the really important points from that guide, but there is also more details there for you to refer to and read as you're going through your training as well. So once you've got that handy, let's start going through that together. And you can see that your work experience component is made up of observation hours and teaching hours as well. And your observation hours is going to be what you start off with, and you're going to start those hours right from when you've done your first contact time with us. So right after that first contact weekend, you want to start thinking of your schedule and how you're going to fit in those observation hours. You can see that the guide tells you the number of hours that you should start completing and also the different class styles that you want to observe. And the way that you are going to observe our classes is look for those specific class types that you need to observe as per your guide. Look at our timetables at all of our different studio locations, and you're free to observe those classes anytime they're running on our studio timetables, and you're going to just book in for those by emailing student bookings at pfiwa.com.au and sending in a booking request just so that we can know that you're coming. We have a maximum of 3 students observing any one class just to make sure that it's not too overwhelming for clients. So that's the reason why we have you booking in for those. And after you've done, a small number of observation hours, you're also going to start with your teaching component of your work experience too. So your teaching component is made up of co-instruction hours and also full teaching hours. The difference between those is co-instruction is basically a shadowing process where you get to follow our senior instructors whilst they're teaching, get a closer look at the bodies as they're moving, and be under the supervision and guidance of our qualified Pilates instructors. We only have one person co-instructing for any given class, so again, you will need to book in for those co-instruction hours through the same process that I just explained for observation. So you're going to email student bookings at pfiwa.com.au, and the guide will tell you how many of those hours you need to do and also what class styles we recommend that you co-instruct in first. Then the other component of work experience teaching is the full teaching hours, which is really where you get to practice teaching a full class start to finish 1 hour on a single person or a group of bodies. So you can only count an hour of full teaching if it does go for the full 60 minutes and if it's a program that you have yourself designed. If you're just going to be practicing a couple of exercises with a fellow student or even a friend or a family member, that's not going to fall under the teaching hours. That's just practical practice, which we absolutely recommend that you do, but isn't going to be logged under that work experience teaching side of things. So in order to do the teaching practice, we recommend that you use other students, friends and family, and anyone else that is willing to be a body for you to practice on. And it's really great to have a mixture of people. We recommend that you start out with using fellow students to be bodies for you and vice versa, because they're going through the same process as you. They know a little bit about the Pilates method, and so they're going to anticipate your cueing just a little better and make it less stop and start for you, which is great at the beginning, but we also want to see that you have practice with people who have never done Pilates before, that aren't familiar with the work or the method, And you'll find that actually they're going to respond quite differently to your cueing. They're going to really be literal in following your direction, and you'll get a better idea of areas where you need to just work on improving to keep a really flowing and well managed class. So start out teaching students, but make sure it's not students the whole way through. With the people that are able to be bodies for you, you are able to, like I said, use students, friends and family, other instructors at PFI as well. You're able to nominate 3 friends or family that are going to be consistent bodies for you throughout your course, and those people are able to attend your teaching hours free of charge. Anyone outside of students, other PFI staff, or those 3 friends and family, there is a small fee that they do need to pay to become a body for you for your teaching hours. And the payment details are located inside your work experience hours guide. And the reason why that is, firstly, we do have to administrate the whole process. And secondly, we've actually found that it creates a better commitment for your clients who are practicing with you, because there's an accountability, it's of value, and you certainly need to realise that you are giving a valuable service. Even though you aren't a fully qualified teacher yet, you have a lot of great skills to offer by the time you're doing your teaching hours to your friends and family. So certainly feel comfortable in offering that service for a small fee. So that's the difference between observation, co-instruction and teaching. And if you would like to reserve a room space to either practice teaching just a few sequences of exercises, maybe you want to do some practical workshopping with a colleague, or you would like to book a space to do your teaching hours, then you just need to follow the instructions on your work experience guide. And there's a process there, an online booking process through our Mindbody booking system for how you are able to reserve space. When you're reserving space, keep in mind that we're going to need to know what the space is being used for. If you're using it, for example, to film your practical assessments, we're going to make sure that you have the room all to yourself and that you won't be sharing with any other students. But if you're only teaching one other person or another small group, perhaps you might find that you're able to share with another student instructor or even with other PFI studio teachers teaching clients. That's something that we're really used to doing in the studio environment, is sharing the spaces with each other. So again, it's actually a great practice as part of the on-the-job learning. And we just also want to make sure that you're aware that that's going to be happening, so you feel comfortable with it right from the beginning. When you're doing your observation and your teaching hours, it's really important that you wear your student uniform. So your student uniform is the t-shirts that are issued to you at the time of your induction. So you will have already hopefully received those by now. And it has a logo on it identifying you as a student. Really important so that the clients understand who is observing them. As you can imagine, it can be a little bit of an intimidating process to have people watching you work out. And if they can see that you're a student, then definitely that's going to add to making a more comfortable environment. Also for yourself, if clients ask you questions around the studio, you're not meant to have all the answers. You're still learning, it's obvious that you're a student, and so it really does work well for both parties. As well as your student t-shirt, you'll need to just be wearing professional looking leggings, shorts not really appropriate, or crop tops. And if you're observing or teaching, we want you to wear closed in shoes. The teachers at the studio usually wear trainers so that it helps to protect your body and also just as a good health and safety measure as well. So you'll see the teachers wearing shoes when they're observing or when they're co-instructing. So that's your student uniform. And then let's just talk about when the co-instruction and the teaching hours should come in. It's really important that you don't leave it too long before you start that co-instruction and teaching hours. Even though it can seem like quite an intimidating thing to get started with, because you're fresh, you haven't really done this type of public speaking before perhaps, it is going to be a scary and intimidating thing initially, but if you ease into it right from the beginning, it does make it a whole lot more comfortable. So let's say after about 3 or 4 weeks of observation hours only, you want to make sure that you're starting to schedule in your co-instruction and your teaching hours so that you don't fall behind and are still able to complete your course on time. With keeping track of your hours, you'll see, not in that work experience guide, but also in your induction pack, let's now just grab out your log sheets. So there is a document called log sheets, and it's like a set of tables that are divided up into those different learning areas. Your observation, your co-instruction and your teaching hours go on one. And you're going to use those to log every hour that you do from those categories. And they're pretty straightforward, but you'll just need to make sure that you carry them with you all the time. You're going to need to indicate which studio location you're at, what time you arrived, what time you're finishing, what type of class was it, and what you need to do at the end of either the shift that you're observing or co-teaching with, or after each session, is make sure that your instructor, your supervising instructor, signs your log sheet. So because sometimes the instructor may be rushing from one class to the next or to get to a different studio, make sure that you have your log sheets there and ready with your pen, space already all filled out for them, and then you just quickly indicate to the instructor where you need them to sign. And that way you're not taking up too much of their time. Also, you're not leaving it for weeks and weeks without gaining any signatures. It's very, very important that those signatures are gained at the time to make sure that it's really accurate for yourself. The other column that you want to make note of on your log sheets is the accumulative total, and that just tallies up how many hours you've done in total. So every time you're going to add on another hour to that log sheet, you will add an hour to that accumulative total, and then you'll see when you're nearing the end of your requirements for your hours. All right, so that's the observation and teaching hours. The next thing we have to look at is your self-mastery. So one of the really important things about learning to be a Pilates teacher is also furthering your progression in your own body. And that's actually one of the best things about doing the training, we think, is getting that personal benefit first and then being able to really impart that information over to your clients. So self-mastery and perfecting your understanding of the work in your body is something that we really focus on because we know the difference it can make in the quality of teacher that you will become. So self-mastery, very, very important. And for your course, the minimum requirement is 1 MatWork class and 1 Reformer class per week for the duration of your training. So you want to make sure that right from the beginning, you're starting those minimum 1 Mat, 1 Reformer class per week. And I keep saying minimum because it really is. That's your minimum requirement, but more is certainly recommended. We recommend 3 to 4 times a week if you can manage to fit it into your schedule to really help you get immersed in the work in your own body. So there is a log sheet dedicated to your self-mastery, and you'll see that you need to log your minimum 1 Mat, 1 Reformer per week for the whole duration of your training. So let's say you end up extending your course out a little longer because you needed more time, no problems. The self-mastery requirement extends with it. If you finish a little sooner, then that's when it stops as well. And to help you complete your self-mastery in the most cost-effective way possible, we do have student memberships, student certificate memberships, which will give you unlimited group classes, including Mat, Reformer, and also Bar. And that's going to allow you just that flexibility so that if you're observing, you're co-teaching, you're feeling like I'm a little stiff, I want to get moving, you can just jump in and do a class whenever you want to. So that's certainly a great way to complete your self-mastery. And you will be contacted about setting up that certificate membership if that's something that you want to do. If you prefer not to do the student membership option, you want to just pay as you go for one MAT, one Reformer class a week, that's also not a problem, and our usual rates do apply for that as well. So that's your self-mastery aspect. I think we're pretty much there in covering what we need to. Guys, just enjoy the time in the studio. It is a unique chance. Once you've graduated, you're not going to be able to have that opportunity again unless you decide to study again. The fantastic thing about the MAT and Reformer certificate is that you can neatly go on to finish your full diploma qualification, which is something that we love. So yeah, have fun, and I'll see you in the studio.